There's a story to tell.
You have the first question.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Finally back, man. I mean, I know it's a long time in the works. I guess give me the feeling now a couple days out.
Man, it feels good to be back. Just such familiar feelings. I've been here so many times before. The one thing I think I forgot about was just how much fun I have with my team. As we all get older, we're all starting to adult like more in our own ways. We're getting married. We're having kids. Not that we've grown apart, but just we spend more time apart than we used to. So fight week, when we all get together and be cooped up in the hotel room for a few days, I've just been like nonstop laughing for the last like 36 hours. It's been great.
That's awesome. I know.
There we go. We're off and running.
That's great. I know how much you love the sport, right? But as you're battling to get back and dealing with issues, was there any part along the way you're like, man, commentary is kind of fun, and broadcasting, not getting punched in the face sure is nice?
I just had too much left in the tank. The only shadow of doubt I had was, it's no secret I've had back issues. Almost had that back surgery in 2016. Then, the problem resurfaced again. I promised my then fiance, now wife, that after the Sean Brady fight, after I fought Luque, I said, hey, we'll take time to plan the wedding. And then things didn't go my way, and I told her I can't marinate on the loss. I got to get back in there. So I promised her after Sean Brady that I would take time off, and then things panned out that fight. And then I was like, in my head, I'm like, I might have to just sneak one more in. So I started kind of picking up the training, and herniated a disc in my back really bad, and surgery was on the table again. And it was DC that told me, like, don't get the surgery if you're still going to compete, because after he had the procedure after the Lewis fight, he said he just couldn't train the same. And I'm not done. So fortunately, we were able to get past it, just found ways to really modify my strength conditioning so I wouldn't have any more back issues. And, yeah, I feel great, man. It's been a really good camp. I'm really excited to compete again, and it's just good to be back.
That's awesome. I know how much you watch the division, how much you watch the sport. Kevin Holland, a bit of a wild man. I guess, what do you think about him as an opponent, and what are you expecting from him when you're in there?
I think you should just not expect the unexpected. You don't know what he's going to do. He might even shoot a takedown. You just don't know what the guy's going to do. He's a wild card. He did his whole stand-up fight with Wonder Boy for God knows what reason. But, I mean, he's a game competitor. He's pretty well-rounded, I think, more than people give him credit for. He's just a really game opponent. He's super tough. I think him and I have been on a collision course for a while. Even when he was fighting at middleweight, he would always kind of tip the scales around 182, 183. And I'm like, that guy's going to be a welterweight someday, and styles make fights. He's been on my radar for a long time. He's been on my radar probably a lot longer than I've been on his. So the fight's happening, and it couldn't happen at a better time.
Were you panicking at all when he was volunteering to step in a few weeks back? Like, are you like, what is going on right here?
I'll let y'all in on a little secret, because I'm not a big social media guy. I'm not into it. But he wasn't the only guy throwing his hat in the ring, because when Bo Nickel was looking for an opponent, I reached out to Dana and Mick and was like, hey, guys, like, I'm in shape, and I'll still fight Holland. I just don't really do it on social media. I just, like, reach out to the powers that be. So he wasn't the only one that was looking for an extra check in July.
I like it. So is that a fight we need to see at some point?
Me and Bo, I mean, he looked pretty dang good, But I was thinking to myself, like, it'd just be a wrestling match. It wouldn't be that bad. And then I saw what he did to Val, and I was like, well, I'm impressed. Yeah, I mean, that guy's the future. I mean, there's so many things I could say about Bo Nickel. Obviously, I don't want to nerd out too hard, but, I mean, you look at the wrestling accolades. If there wasn't a guy named David Taylor in his weight class, he'd probably be a gold medalist in the Olympics. So to have that caliber of a wrestler here in the UFC making waves in such a short amount of time, I think we could see that guy in title contention by the end of next year.
Very cool, very cool. Well, last thing for me in your career, I mean, look, it's all been about the layoff and getting healthy and all that, right? But, man, you're still sitting at number 12 in the rankings. I mean, there's still, like you said, you got a lot left in the tank, so an impressive win here. I mean, are there call-outs, or is it like, let's build on this, or do you kind of have to see how you hold up?
I got one, but I can't say it. I got to win first. But you know me, I'm a logical guy. Like, I'm not a guy that wins a fight and calls out somebody that's unrealistic. And usually anytime I've won a fight and called someone out, I've always got what I wanted. I asked for Magny, I got Magny. I asked for Ferguson after I fought Beneil, got Ferguson. Asked for Beneil after I fought Jim Miller. So I got a great name in mind, and I just got to stay focused. The focus is Kevin Holland, and we'll go from there.
Mike from here. Kevin was in here earlier, and he said that for a long time he thought he didn't like you, and then he realized he just always wanted to fight you, and it was more of a professional grudge rather than anything personal. So do you have any sort of relationship with Kevin?
I could tell. So I think Kevin, I saw an interview one time, and he said I was looking at him funny in Houston when I fought Luque. And two things went into that. One, mentally I was having – I was mentally in where my headspace was that fight. I probably was looking weird to everybody. You know, I was kind of battling some internal demons with myself as a competitor. So everybody was probably getting a weird look that week. And honestly, I was trying to, like, he had, like, 2 chains on, and I remember I was trying to, like, see what they were. I was kind of looking, and then I, like, looked up. I was like, hey, nice to meet you, Kevin. You know, big fan of your work. And then I think from then on he thought I was just giving him a weird look. But, look, I think the guy – he's a hell of a fighter. I've been a fan. You know, Terrence is over there, and I'm happy Terrence is over there. I think that's a great fit for him. I think Kevin's a good mentor for him. I don't really have a bad thing to say about the guy. You know, he's a heck of a fighter, and I think I think everybody could guess in this room if there's one fighter I'm going to talk shit about, it's not going to be him. But it is a Kevin. I'm sure you guys can figure that one out. But you know, yeah, I don't have a bad thing to say about Holland. Hell of a fighter, and if I'm going to lay it on the line, I want it to be against somebody that you know I have respect for. You know, it's like you don't want to have someone get one over on you that you don't like. You know, and there's only one guy in my career that I fought that I didn't like, and just you know, he's got that one I can't get back.
Did you have to do anything in camp to prepare for the amount of trash talk he does in the fight?
Well, I talked about this earlier. Chase Hooper one day, we were training. He came over to Spokane before we left for Vegas, and we're just having a normal training session, and we're going live, and he was like the first guy out of nowhere to just be like, "Come on, motherfucker!" I was like,
Chase Hooper?
Chase Hooper, the Chase Hooper. I know, and I was like, after we got done, I was like, where the hell did that come from? He's like, well, you're fighting Kevin Holland, so I figured I'd give you the best look I can. I was like, dude, what a guy. That's a real teammate. But, you know, I'm actually a little chippy myself sometimes. You know, I was, you know, talking to Sean Brady when we fought and things like that, and I wouldn't be surprised if me and Kevin start having full-fledged conversations in there. You know, you never know what's going to happen in there. But, yeah, there was a few training sessions. We did a little verbal warfare. But, you know, he does know how – some guys, he can weaponize that. You know, there's some guys that can't – like when he starts putting the heat on you and then all of a sudden he starts talking shit, I think it can melt some guys. But I just don't see that working against me.
Have you heard that Michael Venom Page is a free agent now? And what would you think of him joining the UFC?
I love it. I think that there's a lot of fun fights you could do with that guy. I mean, he's a very brash speaker himself. He's got a very, very fun style to watch. He's got some highlight reel KOs. You know, we'll see. I'm sure he's going to want a lot of money, and we'll see if the UFC is going to be willing to pay him. But, I mean, you can automatically, right off the top, Wonderboy and Michael Venom Page might be one of the best striking fights we've ever seen since Holland and Wonderboy, you know. So even Kevin Holland's a guy you could throw in there with Michael Venom Page. A lot of fun striking matches you could throw them in. But when you talk about the Usmans, the Shavkat Rachmanovs, you start talking about those guys, I don't think it'd be if he's coming here for a to win a world title, it's going to be an uphill battle for him.
Well, they showed him on the broadcast in the London card.
I did see that. He was the only person I recognized. I felt like when they're going through the crowd, I was like, I don't know who any of these people are, but I know who Michael Venom Page is. I've been watching him for a long time. So no disrespect to any of those people they showed. I was just not familiar. I mean, if you showed like Joe Burrow on the broadcast in England, they're like, who the hell is that guy? They probably wouldn't know.
Final for me. What are your thoughts on the main event between Justin and Dustin?
Well, do you want my thoughts as a fighter or as an analyst?
Both, I guess.
As a fighter, I mean, it's pure violence. I mean, there's a reason this fight is put together. These are two of the most violent guys in the UFC. I don't have a dog in the fight. I'm just excited to sit back and watch these guys go at it. As an analyst, I love that it validates the BMF title. And a lot of people say it's a paperweight of a belt. It's useless, and I disagree. I think that this fight validates it because both of these guys are so good and so skilled that if there wasn't a man named Khabib Nurmagomedov at the top of the mountain at lightweight, either one of these guys, if not both of them, could have been undisputed champions. So it shows the skill level. Like these are both very skilled fighters, and I think that for Justin, if he can stay within himself, fight similar to the way he fought Fiziev, but still keep those shades of Justin Gaethje that make him so great, he could have a lot of success. And for Dustin, roll those shorts up, make it nasty, and just don't let this guy back you up on a straight line. So either way, dude, it's a heck of a fight, and I love what it's doing for the BMF title. I think that now it's going to bolster it a little bit, and maybe every few years we get another one of these fights, and it just kind of gains traction from there.
Hey, Michael.
Hey.
Now that it's been 5 years, how the hell did you make lightweight for so long?
I have no idea, dude. Stupidity? I don't know. It was. It's tough, dude. When you get in the UFC, you win the Ultimate Fighter at lightweight, and then you start. Yeah, once the cut was always a struggle, but like once I started to beat some name guys, and I'm starting to realize I'm in the wrong weight class. What do? Call Joe Silva, like, hey, I know I just beat Jim Miller, but I gotta move up a weight class. I just beat Beneil Dariush. It's just not working out for me at lightweight. I gotta move up. So you just kind of got to gut it out until things don't go your way. And I was talking about it earlier. Anthony Pettis, losing to him was the best thing to ever happen to me in my career on so many levels. Like, I moved weight classes. He humbled me, brought me back to ground zero. Like, I was kind of turning into somebody that I'm not. Too much talking trash, kind of trying to fit the mold of what's the norm in MMA, which works for some people, but not for me. It just changed a lot of things in my life and my career that have really benefited me and have led me to this point. So, yeah, I will never you couldn't pay me enough to try to make lightweight.
What was the most you've cut?
Oh, man. I don't know, Rick. What's the most I cut for lightweight? The Mitch Clark fight? I think I was like 183. Yeah. I mean, I'd been drinking water, but yeah, I mean, it was like a getting drugged through the hotel type of situation. And yeah, those days were not fun. I was an idiot about it too, dude. This was like, it's not like I was like eating ice chips and spinach leaves, dude. Like, it was actually that fight. I was getting lunch with my family before I left, and I used to think it'd be funny, like, to eat a dessert the Sunday before I would leave for fight week. And I ordered, I'm not kidding you, I couldn't decide on what dessert I wanted. This is being young and stupid. And so I told the waitress to bring all the desserts, and I was going to have a bite of each one. And when I turned my head, my sister Maggie, bless her heart, grabbed the malt vinegar off the table and just like doused it. She's like, you are not eating any dessert. You are way too big. So I was mad at the time, but we still joke about that nowadays.
Yeah, that's insane. Your old pal, Kevin Lee.
Yeah.
Obviously, his return did not go well, and then
Yeah.
he retired afterwards. I just wanted your thoughts on his return and his retirement.
I mean, as a competitor, I want to fight him, especially after the comments that he made when Li Jingliang pulled out and he fucking fed you guys a bunch of shit. Like, oh, I threw my name in the hat to fight Chiesa on short notice. It would have been a great comeback fight, and they offered it to him, and he turned it down. You are out of your mind. If he walked in the door right now, I would drop this mic, and I would kick his ass. But he's retired, and as a man, I wish him nothing but the best. And I'm not saying this like out of spite or anything like that. This is a brutal sport. And this guy, he got the best of me. He beat a lot of really good fighters. He's been in a lot of big fights. He fought for the title. Really, really just harrowing injuries. I mean, this guy had 3 knee surgeries. This is a tough road. And he had if anybody was to say his career was a bust, then they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. He had a great career. He had a successful career. And I wish him nothing but the best. As a man, as a human being, like, I hope that he prospers in life and whatever he decides to do after this. As a competitor, especially after the crap he said, after Lee pulled out, yeah, I would love to have that fight back. But what's more important is my feelings as a man. And I wish him nothing but the best. And I hope that he's healthy and happy and whatever he moves on to in life, I hope he's very successful at it.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
Michael, over here.
Yeah.
We've seen you sporting the John Stockton jersey ever since this fight was announced. Obviously a legend here in Salt Lake City. Does he have any special meaning to you?
He does. So John Stockton used to buy antiques for my grandma. Yeah, so when I was a kid, he's a very private guy. I'm sure you know because you're asking about him. But when my grandma's antique shop would close, he would come after hours and buy antiques for my grandma. So it's one of those things where, like, Salt Lake City, like, there's certain cities and fight weeks you go into where there's certain things that give you a type of feeling that things are going to go well for you. And fighting in Salt Lake City, the place where one of Spokane's finest athletes had a ton of success, like, it makes me feel good. It gives me a lot of confidence. And I have a nice white John Stockton jersey I plan on wearing to the press conference tomorrow if the powers that be would give me the green light, please. But yeah, I've always been a Stockton fan. I have family ties to him. I actually worked for his cousins. My last job before when I went full-time as a fighter, I worked for King Beverage, the Anheuser-Busch distributor in Spokane, and it's ran by the Stockton family. Owned by the Rusnicks, but ran by the Stockton family. So I've worked for the Stocktons. The Stocktons did business with my grandma, and I'm looking to just represent Spokane, and I proudly wear that number 12 Stockton jersey on my back this week.
Well, welcome to Salt Lake City. Also, one of your teammates, Mitch Ramirez, he's going to be making the walk for Dana White's Contender Series next month. I'm just curious if you could put on your analyst hat for a little bit, talk a little bit about sharing the room with him.
Another guy that it's so good he's up at welterweight. I mean, he's not as tall, but he's dense, he's strong, he's big, he's physical. And I was happy that I was able to get in the training room with him this fight because, to my knowledge, he's fighting a very tall opponent. So I'm glad I was able to get in there, give him a look. And I like the fact he's going up to welterweight. I think that that's something we don't see enough. We don't see enough guys just making the jump up the weight class, and it's hard to explain that roadblock a lot of fighters have where they just don't. It's almost like a lack of confidence. Like, I don't want to go up. Maybe these guys hit harder. Maybe they're stronger. There's always some type of barrier that holds a fighter back. And I'm glad Mitch, even with him having success, he went up on a win, which is something you don't really see often. So I'm glad that he was honest with himself, put together a nice win streak to get on Contender Series, and decided, hey, I'm going to go up in weight class, and I'm going up to the toughest promotion in the world. I better fight in the optimal weight class. So I think he's going to have a lot of success. Yep.
Michael over here.
Yeah.
Just to focus more on your sartorial proclivities. See you wearing the Axl Rose shirt. Wondering, is that just something you like, or are you a GNR fan?
GNR is my favorite band. That's
from one GNR fan to another. What's your favorite? What's your favorite track?
Favorite track? Ooh, I really like Estranged. I think that's good. Obviously, Appetite for Destruction is the best album, but Estranged is a great song. Locomotive is grossly underrated. And actually, as odd as this is, but you can appreciate this, but everybody else in here will probably think this is weird. When I did my first dance at my wedding, I had an acoustic artist come in and play Patience for us for our first dance. So, big Guns N' Roses fans in the Chiesa household. Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Yeah, just wanted to get a prediction for Colby and Leon. Who do you think's going to win that fight?
I don't even want to give it attention because I think it should be Bilal Muhammad and Leon Edwards, honestly. I've been pretty outspoken about wanting to fight Colby as a competitor. And I don't even want to give him the shine. I want to talk about Bilal Muhammad, the guy that's got numerous ranked wins under his belt, the guy that stepped up on short notice and fought Gilbert Burns in a 5-round main event and won. That should be the guy fighting for the belt. And so my prediction for Leon Edwards versus Bilal Muhammad is Bilal's going to take that belt home back to Chicago. Thanks, guys.